Welcome to the Gentle class for today. Our theme today is around our habits and the idea of, in Sanskrit, the words are karma, which you've probably heard of, and samskara, which you may not have heard of. But karma is the idea that everything we do has a reaction or response. So whatever we put out into the world, there's something that comes back from that. And it's usually kind of stated as, you do something bad's going to happen to you. You do something good's going to happen to you. And it might work that way, but it isn't always necessarily like that. It's just that things that we do have consequences. Decisions that we make have consequences. And it's kind of tied to habits. So the more we do something over and over again, the more it gets imprinted in us and the more likely, or the more it just sort of becomes who we are, actually. So our thoughts, they say our thoughts become our words become our actions, and our actions become who we are, become our personality. And so we need to be really careful in choosing what becomes habits for us, because our habits are who we are, right? So the best advice that I know about changing your habits is not about getting rid of bad habits, right? It's really about fostering and creating space for what you want in your life. Right? So if we're focusing on what we don't want and focusing on the negative and pushing, it creates a lot of really negative energy. So for instance, when people are quitting smoking, one of the pieces of wisdom is to find something healthy. I mean, it's never as good as your addiction, but to find something healthy that you can do in that place and create a new samskara or a new habit. So we don't change habits just by saying, like, I don't want to do that anymore. We need to actually replace it with something else. So today, as we go through the practice, I'm going to invite you to imagine what new habit you want to bring into your life. What do you want to support your health or your well-being moving forward? So I'm going to invite you to think about that, and then we're going to dedicate the practice to that intention. So whatever effort we put into the practice, it's as if it's going to that goal. Right? So we put our goal in our mind, and then we just keep moving towards it. And we'll get distracted from time to time, right? Our old habits will want to come in, and we just keep our sights on where we want to go. If we fall down, we get back up, we dust ourselves off, and we keep on going. And it's easier said than done, so we need a lot of energy for that. We're going to start our practice lying down today, so you can get comfortable on your mat, and I'll see you there. So make sure you're comfortable. You can use a pillow to support your head, or a blanket, folded blanket if you like. So come to lie down and let your hands come to rest on your body, just so you can feel the movement of your breath a little bit. And then start to tune into the rhythm of your breathing. And then start to notice your breath. Maybe count how long your inhale is, count how long your exhale is. And we're going to try to make the inhale and exhale even, the same length. So if your inhale, say, is 3 seconds, your exhale is naturally 4 seconds, you might start with 3 and 3. And we're not trying to make the breath any different. We're just noticing we are a little bit trying to make it different, but we're not trying to make it longer is the point, or deeper. We're just trying to make it even. So whatever amount of time we're inhaling, we're going to spend the same amount of time exhaling. So focusing on the breath like this for a moment just helps to clear the mind and bring it to focus a little bit. So we'll spend maybe another minute just working with that even breath. And then let that go. Just come back to breathing normally. And so now I would invite you to just take a moment to imagine or contemplate what new habit. And my advice is to keep it small, not to make some big grandiose plan for changing your life, but one small little habit that you could bring in that would support you in some way. So bring that into your mind now. Just take a moment to contemplate. And if nothing comes to you, just leave it be. There's no need to force anything. Something may occur to you as we go through the class, or you can simply dedicate your practice, the effort of your practice, to some good habit that is not yet identified. When you're ready to bring in some movement, let's bring the knees toward the chest and very gently start to bring the knees towards you and then move them away from you. You can breathe in as you move away. Exhale as you draw the knees in. Go at your own pace, and if it feels comfortable for you, you can come back to that even breath, same length of inhale and exhale. Good, let's bring the feet to the floor now. And take one arm and one leg and stretch them out so the leg can come straight out on the ground. The arm can go either to the side or, if it's comfortable, straight up overhead. The other knee can stay bent. The hand can rest on your body or on the floor. Just take a few breaths, breathing all the way down as if you could breathe to your foot and all the way up to your fingers. And then bringing the arm down, bending the knee, we'll switch sides. Reaching, and as if you could breathe into that side of your body all the way from your fingertips to your toes. Feeling some gentle expansion with your breath. And filling that space with the intention of the good habit that you want to bring in. When you're ready, lower the arm and bend the knee. And bring both knees into the chest again and repeat that forward and back movement a few times. And again, if you like, you can come back to equal breath as you do this, but you can also just let the breath be free. And then whichever leg you had straight first, you're going to bring that foot to the floor, keeping the other knee into your chest. So you can hold that knee in, either above or below or behind the knee, whatever is more comfortable, and extend the leg that you've brought to the ground. Then press down into that heel so you feel your leg really active. Toes point at the ceiling. You're gently squeezing in with the other knee. And then you can do some movement with that leg. You can keep both hands on the knee and do smaller circles, or take one hand away to do larger circles, or even slide the hand off the knee if you want bigger circles. You can go both directions. And then eventually come back to the center, give a little squeeze in, and then bring that foot to the floor. And draw the other knee up into your chest. You can extend the other leg on the ground. And again, keep it active. Toes point up, heel presses down. Leg is long. And then you can, again, start to move or circle the other leg, getting into the hip joint. Again, big or small circles, depending on what feels right for you. And the nice thing about circling the hips from this position is there's no weight on them. And you can really tune in and see where that circle feels good, where the edges of that are. You might get a little clicking if it's uncomfortable or there's grinding, then move out of that zone. Right, and then eventually come to bring your foot to the floor, and we'll bend both knees. Bring your hands to the floor. Turn your palms toward the ceiling as long as that's comfortable for your shoulders and arms and wrists. Otherwise, palms down is fine as well. Opening the palms creates a little bit of opening in the shoulders, a little opening in the chest. And then feet hip distance apart and heels more or less underneath the knees. And we're going to press down into the feet to feel as much of the lower back on the ground as possible. And then draw your chin in slightly so the back of the neck is long, as if you were trying to place your neck on the ground, but it's most likely that it will not come to the ground or anywhere near the ground. So it's not like it's a goal, but that's the idea of bringing as much of the spine to the ground as possible. Right, from there, press a little more into the feet till you feel your tailbone start to lift. So just let the hips come off the ground and hang there for a moment. And then you can lift up a little more. And then gradually a little more. And you can keep lifting until it feels like a comfortable apex for you. And then when you lower, lower just as slowly. You feel the vertebrae coming to the ground. And when you get there, take a moment, relax, let everything go for a moment, and then we'll do the same thing again. So start by pressing into your feet, drawing the chin slightly down toward your chest, feeling like you're lengthening the back of the body, and then press into the feet till the hips lift. And then keep slowly lifting the spine bit by bit. And this time when you come up to the apex of the pose, if it's comfortable for you, stay for a few breaths. If not, just lower down. And as you're staying, find ease, find as much lightness and lift without forcing. So you're not trying to push your hips up. Maybe feel that your breath creates some expansion and opening and a little lift. When you're ready to release, you're going to come down again slowly, reversing so the vertebrae are coming down one by one. And then coming back onto your back, just letting everything relax here for a moment. And let's come back to our intention today. So if you came up with some habit that you'd like to bring into your life, bring it into your mind now and breathe it in deeply. And as we come into bridge one more time and hold the pose again, dedicating the effort of the pose. So there's a little bit of effort, not if we don't hold it too long, it's minimal or medium effort. But dedicating all that effort to the strength to rise to meet the challenge of bringing in this new habit. So again, press down into the feet, draw the chin in slightly. And I guess I should have mentioned, it's hard when I don't see you, but if there's something under your head and it's causing your neck to feel like it's overflexed or your chin is coming right into your chest and it's uncomfortable, just move that support out. So from this place, pressing into the feet, lifting the hips, lifting slowly the spine, coming up into bridge. Here, try bending your elbows so that your hands face each other over your belly. Press down into the arms and think about reaching a little bit the knees away from the shoulders. So we'll spend a little bit of time here, and if your body says enough, please come down. So it's not about straining, but it's about feeling the effort of the pose. So for some people, 2 or 3 seconds in the pose and they're starting to shake, they're really feeling the effort. And for others, maybe people who run every day or do a lot of yoga, that might be 10 minutes before the legs start to say enough. So it's really until you feel, there it is, there's a little effort. I have to work a little here. I can't just cruise through this pose. Just like I can't cruise through my life if I want to have the life that I envision for myself. I want to have those habits that support my health, my well-being. For those of you who want more effort, you can try lifting one leg. If you want less effort, you can lower down a little bit. And if you've had enough effort, you can always come right down to the ground. So I'll give you a little bit of space here if you want to stay a bit longer. If you have come down or when you do come down, again, you can bring your knees into your chest. You can circle the knees or rock side to side, or again, repeat that forward and back movement that we were doing earlier. And then coming back to the center, let's bring the feet to the floor, take the arms to the sides. Again, palms up as long as that's comfortable for you. Again, it puts the shoulders in this more open position, but if it feels like a strain, then lower the arms a bit, maybe turn the palms down. So we'll work with the moving twist, the dynamic twist. So both knees can go one way as you gently let the head release the other direction. And then both knees will come to center. And you'll switch. So you're exhaling as you go to the side. If you're coordinating your breath, you're inhaling to the center and exhaling to each side. Maybe one more to either side here. And then eventually you'll make your way back to the center. So now let's take the knees up again. And this time stretching the legs toward the ceiling. You can keep them bent if you feel a lot of tightness, or you can straighten them if that's available to you. And the arms can either move straight out to the sides or they can come over your head. They could also stay on your legs if you like. And then you'll bring the knees back to the chest. Give a little squeeze. So inhaling, reaching out, exhaling, drawing in. And then hugging the knees for a moment, any movement that might feel good. And then let's let the feet come back to the floor for a moment. The hands can rest on your body or be away from the body. Doesn't matter, whatever's comfortable. We'll open the knees, letting the soles of the feet come together. And as you do that, let your back arch a little bit. Breathe into your belly, feel your belly expand. And then as you exhale, start your exhale from your belly. So you're drawing the belly button back toward the ground. And then the knees start to come together. And then you're going to press your feet down and feel that length, making sure the chin is slightly tucked in. Here again, it might be helpful to have something under your head. So as you inhale, you're letting the knees come apart, letting the belly expand, the back arches a little bit, and then exhaling, knees together, pressing into the earth. A few more like that. And then as you come back with the knees together this time, stay there. Don't actually stay there. We're going to roll to one side and come upright. And we'll come right around onto hands and knees, onto all fours in table position. So any movement to begin with, so you can do the cat-cow movement, which we often start with, or side-to-side movement, or circling the hips. I was hearing from a lot of people that the beautiful, cool weather this weekend was great for gardening. So there's a lot of gardening muscles being used. So often lower back, shoulders. If that's the case for you, you might feel that as you start to move. Or perhaps there's some other particular areas of your body that you feel need some movement. So just find those areas for you. It's going to be a little different for all of us. Wonderful. And then we'll take the knees wide and bring the hips back towards the heels. And you can rest your head on your hands if you like. Could be either one hand on top of the other, or depends how easy it is for your head to reach, that you could have one fist over the other. And for some of you, head on the floor will make sense. For some of you, being more on your elbows will make more sense. So the main thing here is that the legs are wide enough apart that you have some space for your belly. Right? So your belly is between your legs, and depending on the size of your belly, it's can feel quite nice to have that pressure not on the belly in child's pose. But this isn't about how big your belly is or any of that. This is really about just letting it be soft, letting the breath move down into that space. And as we take a few more breaths here, come back to your intention. What habit would you like to bring into your life? What would you like to make more part of your healthy lifestyle, health and wellness, whatever it is that you want to bring in? And then when you're ready, we're going to come back up to all fours. Take one leg, stretch it back behind you, point your toes, and then flex your foot. Really firmly flex, toes point down, and then point the toes back. Just be really careful with pointing your toes back. If your foot tends to cramp, really go lightly with that one. Right. And then we're going to keep the foot flexed, and you're going to bring the knee around towards your shoulder. Now it might come only so far. It might come all the way to your shoulder and then stretch it back. Breathe in as you stretch back. Exhale as you bring it to the side and forward. So stretch back, breathing in. Exhale. Great, and stretch back, reach forward with the crown of your head. Good, and then bring that knee down. You can do a few circles with your hips just to release after that. And then if you need a break for your wrists, you can always come onto your forearms, give your wrists a little movement, and then come back up. The other option here is to be on fists, if that's better for your wrists. So you can have your fists down. I usually recommend your thumbs be forward, so in case if you lean forward, you don't kind of fall over your wrists, but whatever works for you. So we'll take the other leg back, so about parallel to the ground, and you're gonna point and flex a few times, engaging the whole leg. And then keeping the foot flexed, you're gonna bring it around towards the shoulder and stretch it back. Breathing in as you go back, breathing out as you come out to the side and around. And then stretching back and release. And again, you can do a few circles with the hips. Right, and once more, let's take the knees wide, unless that's not as comfortable for you. If you really find child's pose much more comfortable and this is somehow doesn't work for you, then choose to bring your knees together. But if it's okay for you here, coming down and again, finding your way into this version of child's pose, or you could call it frog pose. Let your belly soften. If you like, you can come back to the even breath, breathing in and out the same pace, or just breathe normally here. Again, any variation of this pose that works for you. Great. When you're ready to come out of this pose, you'll come upright. And we'll come right around to sit. Now, we don't need it right now, but you may want to have a blanket handy shortly, or could be a firm small cushion just to raise the hips a little bit, but we don't need it quite yet. So hands back behind you, feet wider than your hips, even wider than your shoulders, if that's comfortable for you. And then start with just a little side to side here. And then eventually you can make that movement a little bit bigger as you bring the knees toward the ground. One hip is going to lift, right? And that arm can also lift. So if the shoulder's way back here and the knees are down, you want to check in and make sure your shoulder's happy. Just bring the arm forward and then switch. So I'm just letting my arm come with me. So my whole body's kind of moving towards that direction. Great. So eventually coming down, both legs down. The arm that was back there awkwardly, you're going to lift it. You're going to bring it around, all the way around, and bring it to the floor on the outside of that forward leg or front leg, we'll call it, the leg you're facing. And then use both hands on the ground. You can be on your flat hands or your fingertips to lift your spine and gently turn away from that leg. And breathe. Right, slowly release and come around to the front again. and switch sides. So same thing here, you're going to release the back arm, you're going to bring it all the way around to the outside of your front leg. Use both hands to lengthen your spine and then turn away from that leg. And then slowly releasing back to the center. And give your legs a stretch and give them a little shake here. So now if you have something, and it's not strictly necessary, but I find it helpful if you have something that you can use to just prop up the very edge of your pelvis. So you're just going to slide it just under your sit bones. So it's most of the blanket is back and it's just your sit right at the front. So then if you were to sit with your legs straight, well, in any way really, it sort of tips your pelvis forward and it brings it to a more neutral position. Usually what happens when we're sitting is we're slumping. So we're just trying to find that position. And then bring your knees in. And when you bring your knees in, you will slump. It's not easy or really possible to keep the natural curves of the back while you're hugging your knees in because it draws the pelvis under. So we're going to bring the hands to the knees, squeeze the knees in, and then you can support the knees as you bring them apart. Soles of the feet come together. Find a little lift, and your knees may not come very far apart, that's fine. Find a little lift in the heart, and then exhale, bring your knees together, and this time roll back and round your back. And then inhale as if you're merging, lifting the heart, opening the knees, and then exhale, going back into your shell like a turtle. You can leave the knees apart this time, and if you have something handy to support them and that would feel good, you can stuff some blankets or pillows or cushions or blocks underneath your knees. And then take your hands behind you. So probably, and this is happening to me as I notice this as I say it, that my pelvis is kind of rolling back a little bit. It's easier. Like it takes a lot of effort to sit up straight. So I'm going to take my hands behind me. I'm going to press my hands down, and I'm going to use that to lift up my pelvis and spine. So I want to imagine that my pelvis is like a bowl, and if the bowl were full of water, the water wouldn't be tipping out the back by slumping back. So finding that upright pelvis. And then the way to go deeper in this pose, if there's anywhere to go, and for most people, this is pretty much the limit. So if you're at your limit, you're in good company. If there's somewhere to go forward, instead of thinking about getting your head forward, think about tipping the bowl so that the water would pour out the front. Right? So if tilting back is going to pour the water out the back, then tilting forward, and it's a lot more challenging, will bring you into that position where the bowl is tipping the water pouring out the front. Depending on how much your bowl will tip, you might bring your hands forward to your ankles or your feet to support you rather than losing your reach behind. So take a few more breaths here. If you like, you can let your body relax a little bit, let the head come down. Great. And then slowly rising up, bring your hands to the outer knees and bring the knees in. You can wrap your arms around your knees or hold your knees, whatever works for you. Bring your head down and take a few breaths here. If you like, you can come back to the even breath for a few breaths, breathing in and out at the same pace. Right, and then slowly emerging from your shell and stretching your legs out. And give them a little shake. So the next one, we'll take one leg and slightly bend it, not too much, and then lean back a little bit just to make getting into this position a little easier. You're going to take the other leg and bring the ankle above the knee. And then you can walk the foot on the floor in a little bit towards you and see if that's still comfortable on the hip of the raised leg. And you might then bring your body a little more upright. So the closer your body is to your legs, the more intense the stretch becomes. So you're going to find the position that is just right. And if you like, you can experiment with doing a little side to side movement, or maybe just staying still and breathing. Some people like to take the hands from behind and bring them forward around the shin or behind the thigh. So if that works for you, that's an option as well. Great, and then let's slowly release that leg. Take the feet side to side a few times. Great. And then the leg that was on the floor, we're going to take the other leg and bend that knee just a bit. Lean way back to bring the ankle over the thigh, and then you can walk the foot in and start to sit up a little bit more. Again, the hands are really lovely for support behind you, or if it feels more comfortable to you, having the hands around the knee or behind the option. Let the leg relax. So you're not letting it fall away a little bit. Keep lifting the spine. Find that position that's just right for you. A little movement if you like, if that helps to release tension in the hip. And then let's release. And just give it a little shake, side to side. Right. So for the next one, it's very similar to one that we've already done, but different. And the actual name of this pose is turtle pose. It's in Sanskrit, it's Kurmasana, so turtle pose. So in this one, we want to bring the soles of the feet together, but we want to leave a lot of space. So in the last one, we had the feet way up here close to the body. Now we want a big open space. And you can do things like prop your knees again if that's helpful for you. You want to be, again, sitting upright so that your pelvis can tip forward. And now we have a little bit of space here, right? When the legs are straight, it's hard to come forward because your pelvis meets your femurs. But here, just like in that wide-legged child's pose, we've got room for the belly to move forward here into this space. So what you'll do is you'll bring your hands to the ground in front of you. Think about a nice long spine to begin with. And just check in how that feels. I'm going to move these blocks because they're not helping. And from here, if you can stay here, this may be enough for you. If you want more, for some people, you can, if this works for you, you can take your hands underneath your ankles with your palms on the tops of your feet. Your elbows would come to the ground, and then your head comes down. And your lower legs just rest on your lower arms here. You're breathing here. And again, you may not be in this more full expression of the pose. There is more to this pose than what I'm demonstrating. This is sort of an intermediate. This would be a more simple version up here on the hands, but the full version, your feet would be crossed behind your head. So we're not heading there today, don't worry. We'll take a few more breaths here. And as always, if your body says, not liking this, you're just going to come out of the pose slowly at your own time. When you're ready to emerge from your shell, you can slowly come upright, bring the knees. If you're still or we're sitting on something, you might want to bring that out from under you now. Move any other props out of the way. Come back to rest on your hands. Take the legs wide. And again, we'll do that little bit of a gentle twist side to side. So again, if you need to raise or move the back arm as you go to either side, do that. Or you can limit the movement so you're not stretching the shoulder in an uncomfortable way. Coming back to the center, we're going to make our way to stand. So you can get there however you like. Coming to stand on your mat, on your feet, on your mat, or whatever you happen to be on. If you don't have a mat, that's fine. Absolutely not necessary. You can take the feet a little bit wider apart. And if you like, hands can come to the hips, and that just gets them out of the way. Bend your knees and send your hips one way, forward, the other way, and back. Make that circle. And try going the other way as well. Great, and then let's come back to the center, and you can bring your feet in a little bit, arms down at your sides. Let's bring the hands together toward the heart. And again, come back to your intention. What is the habit that you would like to invite in, that you would like to bring into your life to support your health and well-being? And then taking that intention, lifting it, giving it some energy, giving it some space, and letting it spread out all around you. Really reach with your arms. Inhale, take your intention, lift it. Give it tons of energy, send it out into the world. It's like you're telling 100 people, I'm going to do this, and make yourself accountable. Send it out, make it real. Someone told me once you've said something 3 times to one time to 3 different people, so you've said it 3 times, it becomes real. And I've noticed that's true. So you might think about telling a few people your intention. Great, and then one last time. This time we'll add a forward bend. So you'll come all the way down, reaching toward your feet. And then spread the arms, come all the way up. We'll stay upright and draw the arms back behind your body. Interlace your fingers and inhale, lift the heart. Good, exhale here. Inhale, extend the arms overhead. And exhale, forward bend. Once more, inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, arms come back. Bring the fingers together, inhale and lift the heart. Good, exhale here. One more breath. And then with your next inhale, lift all the way up. And exhale to release. And just give everything a shake. Just be really loose. Head can go, arms, body, legs. You can shake one leg if you like, and then the other. Just let all that go. Coming back to the center. Have the feet about shoulder distance apart. And then we'll do a little movement for the shoulders. So letting one shoulder come forward and roll back. And then the other. Repeating that a few more times. You let your head go if that feels good. Hips move. You can go the other direction too, see how that feels. Right, and coming back to the center, keep working a little bit with the shoulders. So arms out to the sides. Let's turn the palms up, but keep the shoulders relaxed down. Spread the fingers wide and reach out. Move the arms back a little bit to the space behind you. Good. And then as you exhale, bring your arms forward, cross one over the other, and bring your hands to your shoulders. And then let your shoulders drop down, let your elbows rest on your chest. And take a few breaths as if you could breathe into the space between your shoulder blades. If you feel like you want a bit more stretch, you could let your head come down, let your upper back round a little bit, and go a bit side to side, getting into those tight spots around the shoulder blades. At least they're often tight for me. Right, and then come back to an upright position. So if you've hunched over a little bit, come upright. And then keep your elbows on top of one another. Bring the backs of the hands towards each other. And this may be quite enough for you if the possibility exists to come into the bind here. You can take this bottom hand and tuck it in under your thumb side of the other hand. That's pretty difficult, so if that's too much for you, just be here. Some people will use a belt to hold on. So wherever you are, hands touching or not, you can do some circles with your elbows. One way and then the other. And then notice which arm is on top before you release. Bring your arms behind you, interlace your fingers again, and draw your shoulders down and back. So arms just reaching down so the chest lifts up. Good, and breathing here. Release the arms to the sides, turn the palms up, stretch the fingers wide, move the arms back a little bit to feel a stretch in the front of the arms and shoulders. Good, and then cross over the arms with the other one on top this time. Take hold of your shoulders, let your elbows and your shoulders soften down. Again, if you like a little more stretch, you can bring the head down and find a little opening in the upper back. So instead of being really upright, just releasing and opening the upper back and maybe doing that little side to side movement if that feels good to you. I also find doing some head movements here can be nice as well. So you can play around a little with what feels good. Right, and then coming back to the center, come to a more upright position now if you've kind of hunched over a bit, and let the backs of the hands come towards each other. So again, it's fine to have the hands apart. It's fine to use a belt or a sock or whatever you've got to hold the hands. And if it's possible to reach, you're going to take the bottom hand to the thumb side and reach under to hold the hands. And then wherever you're at, some circles. One way and the other a few times. Release. Bring your arms behind your back. Lift your heart and take a few breaths here. Releasing the hands, reaching all the way up, breathing in. Exhale, come forward. You can either bring your hands to your thighs, your shins, or reach further if you're able, and then come all the way up. So we'll do a few dynamic forward bends just like that. Exhaling forward, inhaling to lift. And then if you like, you can stay Elbows could come to the thighs if you like, or you could hold your elbows and let your body hang. I definitely recommend lots of bend in your knees here, so your lower back can be long and maybe even supported on your thighs. As you straighten the legs, tends to round the lower back and put a lot more strain there. So here I can flatten out a little bit and really get length. From here, you can bring your hands to the ground and find your way back down. You can come to all fours. Be a little movement of arching and rounding in the cat-cow. If you like, you can come back to child's pose, either with the knees together or apart, for a few more breaths here before we come back onto our backs. Take your time. If you love child's pose and this feels great to you, stay a little longer. If you're not such a big fan of child's pose, this is our last pose in this position. We're going to be coming to lie down after this, so you can already go there if you feel the urge. If you're happy in your child's pose, again, stay a little longer. Breathe and come back to your intention. As you breathe, whatever position you're in, imagine that you're breathing that intention into every cell. And then if you're still in child's pose, start to think about making your way onto your back. And then when you get there, take a moment. You can bring your hands onto your body again, more or less where we started today, feeling the breath. And as long as it's comfortable for you, you can come back to that equal breath, equal inhale, equal exhale. That helps to focus the mind a little bit when we've got something to, a little job to give it. But if that feels agitating for you in any way, then just drop it and breathe. And then we're going to take the arms and bring them out to the sides in kind of the cactus or goalpost position. So here, the elbows and the backs of your hands are on the ground. And so that might look very different for some of you than it looks on me. So it may be that your arms are lower so that the elbows and the hands can be on the ground. It may be possible with the arms, sort of elbows out to the sides and the backs of the hands behind you, sort of on either side of your head. So you're going to just play around until you find the position where you can relax here, where the elbows, the shoulders, and the hands are on the ground. And you're breathing. You can gently roll your head to one side. Pause for a breath. Gently come back to center and roll to the other side. Pause there for a breath. Bring your head back to center. We'll slide the arms down. Bring the knees in. And take a moment to move in any way that would feel good. Give your back a little massage before we get into our relaxation today. So it could be circles, forward and back, side to side movements. And then eventually, when you're ready, you can start to wind that down to stillness. And you're welcome to sit for the guided relaxation at the end, but you're just as welcome to lie down in the usual Shavasana. It really depends on what is happening next for you and how each of those activities leave you feeling. So finding your way to whatever position you've decided on, and then making those little adjustments and movements to be as comfortable as possible. If you're lying down, even if you're sitting actually, draw your chin slightly down towards your chest, not so your head is hanging, but so the back of the neck gets a little bit longer. And then bring your awareness to your breath, but there's no instruction here to create any kind of pattern with the breath. So no equal breathing, no deep breathing, just regular breathing. And I invite you to follow the path of your breath with your mind. So watch as it comes in. See if you can feel that whole pathway from the tips of your nostrils, through your sinuses, through your throat, down into your lungs. The lungs expand and the chest expands with them. And then as the lungs expand, the diaphragm presses down, the belly may move as the contents are displaced by the breath. And then follow that back out. Obviously, one breath is going to be much quicker than what I've just described, but you're going to just follow it in, follow it out. You can focus on one spot if you like, or follow that whole path in and out. And then feel as though the breath could not only expand in that area that we've been focused on, but that the energy from your breath, the prana, could go all the way to your fingers and your toes. So as you breathe in now, it's like you're breathing into your whole body, right to the top of your head, your fingers, your toes. And then as you breathe out, it's like your whole body deflates, drops down and relaxes. Imagine the breath as your new habit, filling you completely from head to toe to fingers. Bringing energy to your intention through your breath. And then trusting that you've created a strong intention for your practice, you can now let it go, let the breath come to normal. Let your body soften a little more, your eyes, your face, your jaw, neck. shoulders and arms, chest and belly. Relaxing the hips, the thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and feet. The chant today is a kind of blessing for new beginnings, for starting or taking a step into a new beginning. So as you take your intention into your life from today's practice, letting the energy of this chant give you a great beginning to that process. Om Gananantva Ganapati Gunghavamahe Kaving Kavinamupamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvanyutibis Siddha Sadhanam Shri Maha Ganapataye Namaha. As always, if you feel the desire, the need to stay longer with your meditation or relaxation, go ahead and stay. And if you're ready to move on with your day, you can just take a few deeper breaths, bring a little more energy to the body. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes, move your ankles and wrists, moving the body in any way that would feel good. And if you're lying down, eventually you're going to roll to your side and come upright. Bringing your palms together and reconnecting with your intention for creating a new healthy habit. Excuse me. And carrying that habit off your mat, that desire to make that change into the world, and put your thoughts into words. So tell someone, say it out loud what your intention is. Maybe tell 3 people. And then turn those thoughts and words into action. And eventually, when we create these actions over and over, they become who we are. So we choose, we have that choice. Namaste.